Yo, what's good, boys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be updating our pitcher tier list for you guys. I saw in the last one, there were a lot of comments saying, can you do a relief pitcher one? Those are on here. For you guys, the start of this video will be dedicated just for you because I cannot shuffle on tier builder and have the tier link still work in the description. So all the starters are first, all the relievers are second, but we'll actually do the relievers first so we don't have to sit here and scroll forever. So hopefully you guys enjoy the content. If you do, like and subscribe. We just hit 10,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Didn't necessarily ever think we would get here, but here we are. So let's make the most of it. So Griffin Jacks, B tier. Don't like this card. He throws kind of hard. His pitches don't complement each other a ton. He does throw like a 90-mile-an-hour sweeper for how much ever weight you want to put on that. But for me, it's not a lot. Hoffman, playing down again. It's a meme with this guy. Arguably the best reliever in baseball right now, I would think, other than like Justin Martinez. And he plays down every single day. So that's very interesting. Yimi Garcia, also A. He misses something for me. He plays up a lot for some reason. But just having the sweeper instead of the slider hurts him. You see him in a bunch of high tier players' bullpens, and I think he's fine. He's kind of like Raleigh Fingers in a way where he just seems consistent. But having the sweeper is not my favorite pitch in the world. Lee Smith, B tier. Just he works. For some reason, he always works, but it just never feels clean with him. Ever since his charisma card, like 2 years ago, I feel like he's never really reached those heights again. He's a cool reliever. He's all right. Felix, I think B tier. If you just want to show that look to somebody, certain players, that look will just fry. But good players usually absolutely tank him. So I could see an argument for A, though. I think Devin's the same thing. I think he's a little more consistent. These two guys are guys that you're very hesitant to bring in because they're either shut down or they give up 3 runs and you have to pull them and they don't even record an out. So I think for how volatile they are, they're B tier. But lower ranks, I do acknowledge they're probably up there. Matt Strom, for my money, best lefty. I don't care. I don't care. Something about him. I mean, I don't know if he's ever given up a run for me, to be honest. He's just that good. Hobie, A tier. It's just straight gimmicks with him. If it works, great. He's shut down. If it's not, he's probably F tier. So I'll give him A on average. Soto, the new Soto. I think I'll give him A without trying him. I need to get some reps with him. I just can't fathom that he'll be bad. I think even his control isn't that bad. He could be an S tier lefty, but I just gotta get some reps with him and actually kind of see how he performs. Justin, B tier, has a weird animation. It's like a shot put, like he's shoving the ball at you animation. But other than the hard slider, there's not a ton to love about him. He's got like the Jarren Duran problem where he throws a super fast splitter that gets hung on lower difficulties because the same swing for the fastball will just pull the early splitter for a home run. So it's just doesn't really coincide very well. But outlier sinker, cool for what it is. I think outlier sinker's overrated for sure. I'd rather have it on the 4-seam. And he has a very fast, like 92-mile-an-hour, one of the fastest in the game sliders, which helps when gets out against lefties and switch hitters. But he's still just not that crazy. Franco, A tier. He is somewhat like Devin Williams and Felix Bautista, where he's pretty volatile. But I feel like he's more shut down more times than not. But he will have those starts where he just gives up like 4 runs and can't even get out. So it happens with him. Raleigh, S tier. Yeah, I think my rationale for A tier is just that he's always solid. But if you're ever in a tough spot, you go to Raleigh. If you need 2 shutdown innings to set up for your closer, you go to Raleigh. It's just how it is. So yeah, he probably is S tier. And he's been that way since last year. Billy Wagner, B tier. I don't think he's hard to hit at all. He has to have outlier or he's not good. He's just not hard to hit. You're pretty much just working the four seam with the changeup because the slider is immediately obvious as soon as it comes out of his hand. That is the slider. So just not great without his outlier. He's somebody that desperately needs his outlier. Mason Miller, I like an A tier. I think if you just want to show somebody an outlier four seam, he's one of your better options there. He also scales up to higher difficulties better because he has the slider and the circle chain. So you are shrinking PCIs no matter what handedness you're pitching to. And then you still have the outlier fastball. Andrew Miller, B tier. Funky delivery, but the pitch mix just isn't that crazy. If he had a sinker and a circle change, I think he'd probably be A plus, S tier, somewhere in that range. But four seam and a sinker and a slider. So there's just not a ton to work with there. You're pretty much mixing in the four seam and the sinker and hoping that they read four seam on the sinker and you get some ground balls. That's pretty much your best case scenario. Other than that, you're bringing them in lefty-lefty to spam away sliders. So just not really, not to say you can't be effective, but I just don't love the mix. This Tops Now pitcher, if you pull him, not the worst card in the world. You will probably have to be on Hall of Fame to really get use out of his 94-mile-an-hour fastball, but he actually has a pretty nice pitch mix, so I don't hate him. Goose. I don't think he's that much better than Mason Miller. It depends on his price, I suppose, really, if he's A or S tier. When I used him, I bought him at the start of the year because the bullpen was in shambles. His pinpoint's very fast. I will say that. It can be hard to draw the slurve animation. But that being said, his slurve's pretty nasty. It does drop off the table. It's probably the best slurve I've seen. So he's got that going for him, and then he has the outlier fastball. It's just the rest of his mix is okay at best. So I don't mind him, but I don't think he's S tier. Tanner Scott, A tier. I think he's just a better Miller. You're getting a four seam, a changeup, and a fastball, but you're getting a slider that's at like 92 miles an hour. So against worse players, that might be worse against, but it gives him the viability of like if it's lefty, righty, lefty coming up the next inning. When that righty comes up, he can jam him with a 92-mile-an-hour slider, especially if you put some parallels on him. So I really like him for that reason. I do acknowledge that he is kind of BP on his other pitches, but I think having that hard slider is a really nice tool to have, and some people don't expect it. Kenley, by far the worst pitcher we have ranked so far. He's a little funky. If he had like a sinker instead of the two-seam, he might could creep into the B tier. But that cutter's just not really good enough. I think C tier might be as low as we go because I don't think I included too many just fodder cards on here. Hoffman, A tier. He's like the right-handed John Franco, where it's like most of the time he'll probably be okay, but he'll just have some blow-up outings. I think he's terrible, personally. He blew a game for me that I will never forgive him for. But other than that, he's fine. Matt Brash, another card that I just think is fine. Real ones remember his Future Star card, I want to say, from like 2-3 years ago from Team Affinity. He was a absolute stud. This card's cool. He's fine. I think he has sinker, cutter, four seam. So he's got every fastball you could want. And then I think he has like a slider and a changeup. So a 5-pitch mix from a reliever is very nice. I want to check that now, though. Just make sure. So slider, primary slider, and a knuckle curve. So the slider is unfortunate because while it is his primary pitch, I can tell you that the par on it is not really small. It's not like a Tyler Rogers, Darren O'Day type slider where when they have primary sliders, it's like the exact size of the ball. His is quite a bit bigger, but for an 87 overall, that's like going to be 5K. It's not the worst buy in the world. Suter, I think he's like Felix. He's pretty much Felix. He throws a little slower than Felix, but he has a way bigger speed differential. And then his through nines will be like way better. So I think he serves a niche purpose. He gives you kind of that look without the funky delivery, but I think he'll scale better to being on Legend and GOAT, if that makes sense, to where he can just spam away sliders to righties, and his high hits will do wonders for him. This is Michael Kopech. I think the control holds him back. I thought about S tier for a second. That's what that look was. He's really good. I like him a lot, but the really low walks is not ideal. He is like Dibble without the funky windup, outlier four seam, cutter, slider. It is the Dibble like type mix, and you can get rollovers on that cutter, and he still gives you that outlier look that like we're putting a lot of value on because there's not a ton of people in the game that have it, especially on a four seam. So I like him a lot. I think he's pretty solid, for sure. Chapman. Honestly, this Chapman should be B tier, but he's A tier. People just have like this mental block when they're playing against him, where you can pitch him and they will just swing out their shoes on the four seam every single time. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He has outlier sinker, and if you know outlier sinker, you know 98's probably the fastest you're getting out of that. So swinging out your shoes on Chapman is a crazy thing to do. Down the road, he'll get an outlier four seam card, but it's not this one. He's fine. He has insane control issues, especially on higher difficulties. But it's still Chapman. He still kind of has that presence. Urseg, I think it's probably S tier. He's like a mix of Miller and Gossage in a way, where he's way easier to pinpoint with, has way better control. It's just his pitches don't necessarily complement each other a ton. You get the outlier four seam, the outlier sinker. So you're just abusing velo with him. And then you have a circle change, which isn't great. I guess it does kind of look like the sinker. And then you have the slider. So I think against good players, there will be diminishing returns with this card. But I think if you just have to show somebody velo, especially if you're like an all-star player, he'll probably be invaluable to you. Darren O'Day, S tier. Kind of a gimmick pitcher, but also just gross and just a control freak. So he kind of has that over like Hobie, where I feel like he works more times than not. I think he's a weird at bat for lefties, where he's not just like slow pitch for them basically. And I think against righties, you just kind of abuse the away slider, and it's never a fun at bat for them either. All right, so we're getting to our starters finally. Hagen Smith, C tier. Hey, for 1,500 subs, can't go wrong with him. Does that mean he's good? Not really. I think he's serviceable. If you're on a super low budget, he's cool there. Buchholz, B. B for Buchholz. He's okay. He's fine. He's going to be terrible on All-Star, to be honest. But once you get to Hall of Fame, he's serviceable, legend, cool, GOAT. Yeah, no. Every pitcher's good on GOAT. Other than this guy sucks. Because most people you play on GOAT will have seen Roy Halladay on Legend for the last 4 years. So they're going to absolutely tattoo him. And that's just how it is. And his hits suck. Honestly, I'm putting him D tier. He is just terrible. Logan Gilbert. I think he's better than Hagen. I think you can get some better starts out of him than Hagen Smith. I don't think he's awesome, but for what he cost, I think he's really good. If you don't have like Ubaldo or one of those other splitter pitchers, he's one of your better options. And he's a primary slider guy, so he has really nice control on the slider, which I think is a plus. Chase, another just B-tier starter. He's cool. He shows some good velo from time to time. He's got okay mix. The control's a little iffy. It's kind of what you expect out of a free card that came out when the game came out. Joe, B-tier. He's kind of like mini Skeens. I like what he offers more than Skeens because he offers the away cutter and the fast fastball. So you can get more rollovers than necessarily just throwing sinkers with Skeens the whole time. But they're similar. They both just get stuck throwing a lot of like away junk pitches. So similar in that regard. Yamamoto, probably just A tier. Like, he's cool. If he's one of your 5 starters, specifically towards the back of your rotation, you're probably doing okay. I think his splitter is a little too fast for my liking, if I remember right. I think he's throwing it like 90, and he's throwing his fastball like 98. So that's kind of close for comfort. But he's cool. He's fine. If you've had success with him, I can't really knock it. Freed, B tier, a little bit of a funky delivery, okay pitch mix, nothing great. He can give you some good outings, especially if your opponent has a bunch of lefties in their lineup. He'll probably be pretty successful, but not my favorite card in the world. Skeensy, B tier. If you just have to abuse outlier, he'll probably be pretty good. Like if your opponent just refuses to try to catch an outlier fastball, or they have to overcompensate to such a degree that they start swinging out of their shoes on the other pitches, he's going to be great. If you play him by good, he's going to be terrible. It's just what it is. His pitches don't really complement him. You're basically throwing 3 of the same pitch and then a sinker and a fastball. So he's almost like a 3-pitch starter. So just not ideal there at all. Albert, S tier. Our first S tier starter. If Al is your 5th starter, you probably have the best rotation in the game. And I think that's how I'm going to do it, is have guys that like should be in everybody's pen, everybody's rotation in S tier. Gore, B tier. He's cool. Like for a free card, for a budget card, he can give you some okay outings. He's also going to get tattooed by good players. But most of these pitchers will anyway. Next up, Ubaldo. Very sad I can't get this guy on the grind account, because I think he's really solid. He throws a very nice, very fast sinker. He throws like a fastball touching 100 sometimes. And he's got a good splitter to work off of it. So I think he's A tier. If you have this card, you can't really go wrong with him. Ruben, probably the best of like the storyline pitchers. Does that mean he's good? No. Nope, he is not. So C tier for him. Edward, I think A tier. I can't see a world where he's not A tier. Like, we haven't ranked Ohtani yet. I'm going to spoil it. He's not going to be ranked very highly because he has no control. But if I was going to run one of these super low control starters, it would be Cabrera. I think he looks disgusting. Has really good hits, really good pitching clutch. I don't think he's anything insane, but I mean, I think he's similar to like Ubaldo, where he should be hard to hit at least. Crochet, top of B tier. I think he's kind of been drilled into a lot of people's minds. They kind of know what you want to throw with him. But he's still a good pitcher with some nice velo. If he had outlier, like, he would have been abusive at the start of the game, obviously. But he would still be way more relevant now. He has just really low hits, and in a year where you already give up a ton of bloopers, the lower your hits, the bigger the PCI, the more bloopers you give up. So don't love him for that fact. Musina, top of B tier. For some people, he probably will be A tier, and on GOAT, you can maybe make the argument for even like a S tier out of him, but he just doesn't have a universal pitch mix that everybody gets along with super well. I don't think he's that hard to hit. So I think I would go B tier, but just as like a control freak, if you need one of those, he's there. Schultz, I gotta give him A tier still, but he's like teetering. I think people have just seen him a ton. His pars are bigger than I remember. And I think he's just kind of a great budget option at this point, but not anywhere close to what he was right when the game came out. I think also he's hurting because a bunch of people are catering their lineups to more switch hitters, more righties now, since John and Randy and all these other dominant lefties are starting to come out. He's kind of paying the price for that. So he gets hurt by that. Wheeler, probably B tier. I don't think he's great. I think supercharged, probably A tier, just because the hits and stuff are better. And maybe he'll get roster updated, and you know, his stats will make him more firmly like an A tier player. But I think he's just top of B. I think he's cool. I think he's not really worse than Yamamoto, and I do like splitter pitchers, as you can tell from Ubaldo. So I'll bump him up. Maybe I just drag both of these down. But for now, I'll bump him up. Kerry Wood, probably C tier, just not good. Why you would usually use Kerry Wood is for the outlier four seam, the normal changeup, and the slower cutter to get rollovers on. This card doesn't really have that. He has good hits. He has crazy pitching clutch. So maybe he has like a role to play on GOAT, but on like normal difficulties, no, just not the Kerry Wood that we're used to. Painter, C tier. Like I've said it last time, I'll say it again. Throws the hardest fastball I've ever seen without outlier. He tops out at 101, sometimes even 102, consistently without outlier. It's the craziest thing. That being said, his pitch mix is dog water. His pinpoint is pretty bad to use as well. It's just like janky and really fast. So just not a fun card to use. Arrieta, A tier, cool. He's just like a rock solid righty that you can put in your rotation. Some people don't like him. Some people love him. I think that's what he is. He's just a normal righty. If you're playing low ranks where people, I mean, I've seen people at high rank do it too, but it's usually at low rank where people like stack their lineups with like Jordan, Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Juan Soto, all these crazy. I mean, I've seen people have 7 lefties in their lineup. Yeah, Jake Arrieta's probably not going to have fun against them, but at least he has like a 91-mile-an-hour slider to at least jam them with sometimes. Screwball, top of B tier. If you can use his pinpoint effectively, maybe he's A tier. I didn't know his pitching clutch was so bad. I think it's like 76 or something. It's not great, so that dings him a little bit. Sale, A tier. The gimmick is just really good with him. Just a weird pitch and release that beats up on bad players for the most part. And you can even get some pretty solid starts against good players with him just because of how slow the slider is. It can be really hard to sit back on. So I think he's pretty solid there. Scherzer, this card is trash. I'm trying to think if he's... I think Buchholz is kind of iffy, but everybody else in that tier I'd rather use over Scherzer. Again, another card where like maybe you can make the argument on GOAT or even Legend, it'd be worth it to shrink righties, PCIs. But you're just seeing so many people stack switch hitters at this point that doesn't really matter. Stevie Carlton, top of B tier. If his per 9s were a little better, I would be feeling a little more generous with him. And I have the 1000 version of this card, and I want to use him really bad, trust me. But I don't, because he's just not that good. I like that he has a normal changeup. I'm a big fan of fastball, normal changeup. But when the fastball is not coming in at 99 or with outlier, it kind of makes that tunnel a little less effective. Nick Pivetta, just beats. I wouldn't use him. If I pulled him, I would sell him. So I think he's C tier. I wouldn't use him. Same for Chris Bubich. Just not a lot of value in this card either. I would probably sell them or just hold them for the collection, but not actually use them. Corbin Burns, B tier. Just not my favorite. I just feel like he has had a thing ever since he got the Lightning card forever ago where people have just seen him. They know what you want to throw with him. They're going to absolutely clobber him. He still tips his pitches, by the way. If you're a ball knower, if you know what pitching grips look like, he still tips his pitches to a degree. So that's another, kind of red flag with this card. As well as I just know that you want to tuck the cutter, sinker in a corner pretty much every pitch. It's going to be inside chase cutters. It's going to be inside sinkers that steal strikes. It's going to be outside cutters that steal strikes. It's going to be outside sinkers that are chase pitches. And then you're going to mix in the hard slider, which I think is a very nice tool that they gave him, and a circle change. It's not enough. It's very hittable. It works on like probably mid-tier players the best that think they see what's coming in, and then that cutter darts backdoor to steal strike 3. Against players like that, yeah. But against good players, they're going to shell them. Against bad players, they could struggle just because the cutter's really fast, but he's just not good. Bueller, B tier. B for Bueller. Kind of does a lot of the same stuff, but he throws 2 curveballs. So, not my favorite card in the world. The velo's like surprising on this card. I feel like every time I've seen him, I have struggled like the first inning or two, just because the velo's crazy for a Walker Buehler. Like, this card throws hard. He throws gas. But once you know it's just going to be a cutter, 4-seam, or a sinker pretty much every pitch, you start to kind of put it together, and he's not so hard to hit. McClanahan, this card sucks. D tier. Basically like a 3-pitch starting pitcher. And his per nines aren't good enough to make up for it. He used to kind of have a janky release. I feel like it's more normalized now, to where he's not even really hard to hit lefty. So he doesn't have a ton going for him. Roki, top of B tier. He's cool. On All-Star, I'd probably actually use this card on All-Star, just to abuse the outlier. And he still throws a hard four seam. It still touches like 100. And then he's got the best splitter I've seen. So on All-Star, I think this card can get abusive. I think Hall of Fame against people who are really uncomfortable in Hall of Fame, he can light them up because of the outlier and the velo difference. But in general, I don't think he's that great. Moving on, we got Andy P. I think if you're a really high difficulty player, he could be an S tier, but I think he's just A. As far as like control freaks go, really good. He's not going to be anywhere close to his card he got last year, because that card was like a 99 and got a lot of use before we got 99s in that set. But he's cool. He's cool as he is. He's fine. If you just want like a control guy. Hunter Green is just like a way more expensive version than Roki. Or I'm not sure what his price is settled at, but he's a 4-pitch pitcher with a hard fastball and a splitter. So he'll be abusive with that. He's almost like a starting pitcher, Felix Bautista. So he's all right, and he'll probably beat up on some bad players. But I think once you get to a higher difficulty with him, he's not going to have a ton of fun. But I could see him being serviceable at the same time. Logan Webb, A tier. If you just want a control freak variety, this is your guy. Pretty solid. Works that sinker, four-seam, cutter combo pretty nastily, if that's a word. So don't mind him. John Don, easy S tier. Like, come on, it's John. Pretty much an exact copy of the chase card we got last year. I think the hits might be a little better. So he's just going to be abusive. It is what it is. Bob, I think just A tier. He's cool. He's fine. I think traditionally what makes Gibson good is the outlier. So not having that is going to suck. I think you put some parallels on him. He can throw 99 semi-consistently. And he'll still have that kind of hard slider with the changeup to work off of. But this is by no means anywhere close to the Bob Gibsons that we usually get. Sutton, B tier. Has some value, honestly. On a low all-star difficulty, I think he could be okay because of the really slow screwball to actually get some strikeouts. But it's not your traditional strikeout pitch. I think it works on higher difficulties more for strikeouts than lower. Because a lot of low-ranked players will just see it a couple times, and if they see anything starting close to the bottom of the zone, they're not swinging at it. And if you're throwing it in the zone, it's 74 miles an hour. It's probably going to get banged. So I don't love him, but I think there is a niche for him. If you're an all-star player that struggles to get swings and misses, I think he has like kind of a Fergie Jenkins thing going on where he's by no means overwhelming, but just through pure speed differentials, I think you can get some strikeouts. Mr. Perry, A tier. I haven't used this card. In my mind, he's just a worse Ryan Zimmerman. So assuming you have a crazy good rotation, I don't really see the point. But I don't think he's a terrible card. Corey, I think he cracks probably best rotation. He's close. He's like a way better version of like Corbin Burns or Logan Webb, in my opinion. He has kind of a janky shot put animation, and then he throws a slower cutter than his other fastballs, so he should get some rollovers. I like him. A lot of people have been saying they get lit up with him. It's going to happen. Until you get to Legend, until you get to GOAT, this type of pitcher will never be the most effective, but he can give you some quality outings, I feel like, on those other difficulties. Zim, definitely in the best rotation for me. Probably the best control freak righty. I haven't used Logan Webb, so I'm not 100% sure. I think he might have smaller pars, to be honest, but I think Zim's pitch mix mixed with the janky delivery puts him over the top. I think he should be in every best rotation in the game, in my opinion. Otani, B tier. You might as well just close your eyes and do your pinpoint with him, because only he knows where it's going to go anyway. The amount of times I used this guy last year and he had better control than he has this year, and he would just routinely pitch guys into a 3-0 count when I'm trying to throw strikes. Happened all the time. I can only imagine this year. It's just not super fun. I'm sure there's a role for him. He has that like Jackson Jobe thing where you can get some rollovers on this cutter for sure. But he's also a primary slurve pitcher, or sweeper. I forget if it's a sweeper or a slurve that he has. But it's not a pitch you want to be spamming by any means. Johan, this card sucks. He's terrible. Has some really good through nines. Some awesome through nines. But he's a 4-pitch pitcher, and I think he might even throw a curveball, so he might be like a 3-pitch pitcher. I'm not sure, but this is nowhere close to the Johans that we got last year. I've seen him once, absolutely lit him up, thought he was like the easiest thing in the world to hit. So don't love him. Roger, I think he fits in this best 5 in the game. I think if this is your 5 pitchers, you're chilling. Martin Diego, B tier. I mean, outlier sweeper, outlier fastball, I would hope is on this card. But even then, like, his just through nines just aren't good. Like, it feels like every year he's a card where SDS thinks they cooked and they didn't. So you can see here, 77 hits, bad control, 4-seam, curveball, sinker, circle change, slider. So if they gave him outlier slider, he might be a little better. He has no quirks, so he doesn't have outlier on anything. So this card is basically useless and probably has more value as a position player. So C tier. He still has 5 pitches, so I'll leave him C tier. I was thinking of D tier, but I'll leave him C. S tier, Randy Johnson. Can he throw a strike? Maybe. Sometimes when he feels like it. Is he still disgusting? Yes, it's Randy Johnson. So I think he is firmly in your best 5 in the game. I think DeGrom's on the bubble, probably more A tier. I could see the argument for S tier. If you're like a Hall of Fame player and Kluber's getting tattooed for you, I think DeGrom in for Kluber's probably your move. I think they're both kind of bubble guys, but I think they're both firmly better than everybody in this A tier, unless you just want the control freak that is Logan Webb or Andy Pettit. So I'll bump him up. Because I think they're way better than all of these guys. And they're really just competing amongst themselves. Same for Fernando. Could be abusive on All-Star, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, as you go up in difficulty, he just gets better and better and better. So it just kind of depends on what difficulty you are, what caliber of player you are. On All-Star, he'll probably get lit up. On Hall of Fame, he'll probably get lit up. I think once you get to Legend, then you're really cooking with gas with him. And then on GOAT, it's just straight abuse. You should probably be locked up if you're using them. Satchel, terrible. B tier, has outlier fastball. He's kind of like Skeens, where he's got the outlier fastball. Great. Now what? Is kind of how I feel like with him. As long as you avoid the screwball at all costs, I'd be open to him being like an A tier card. Maybe I wouldn't. I think I'd. He's like similar to Wheeler. I view him as similar to Wheeler, where if you want to use him, cool. Just don't expect like an awesome start out of him. If I was gonna organize this tier, I think it's kind of tough. I feel like Leiter's pretty even with these righties, so I think from Zimmerman on, or no, from Kluber on, it's pretty even. But I think if these are your 5 starters, you probably have the best rotation in the game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this was entertaining / educational for y'all, and the tier list will be down in the description for you guys, because I have figured out why it doesn't work properly some of the time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. 10K, who would have thought? Till next time, peace.